But as a father, I never made a connection with him. He never connected with me in that way until a little later in my life, and it was too late by then. Actually, in my mind, it was. Unfortunately, Mom, she had her own things that she had to deal with in her childhood that made her unable to be able to give me what I needed as a child. And what happened was they got divorced. I ended up getting with my grandmother and my grandfather. They raised me since I was 1.5 years old, and so at 1.5 years, and I remember this day. I was 1.5 years old. I remember it just like it was yesterday. I remember waking up out in the carport. It was a carport bedroom my granddad had made, and woke up on this old black wrought iron bed, and I was scared to death. Didn't know why I was scared. I was just scared. I was. Got up and I was scared. And I went and looked out the window, and I was scared. And then I turned around and run out the bedroom and come in. I heard some people in the living room, so I went on in there and I jumped up in my grandma's lap and I just hugged up to her. And that came to be one of the places that I found solace. I found a safe place there with my grandmother. I'll never forget that day. It's wild that I remember it. But nonetheless, I went on. They called me. The doctor said I was hyperactive. But I just tore stuff up a lot. Especially what happened. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. By the way, a lot of my family's sitting up here in the front there, Mama and Mom. Praise God. I thank you guys for coming. That just blesses my heart. You don't even know. Thank the Lord. So here I was. I'd had that getting disconnected from your mom and your dad both is not a good thing. I don't care what nobody says in any kind of situation. I had some other issues that were going on with me too. My grandfather was very abusive. No. A lot of people aren't aware of his abusiveness. It was physical and it was verbal, and it's wild how I understand today. I understand how that happens. I guess. Yeah, I guess I do. A lot better than I did back in the days. My granddad he'd beat the blood out of us. He'd beat us bad. But he loved me. I knew he did. He showed it. He did. He showed that he loved me. But then there's this monster that would come out of him sometimes, and it just go crazy. And it wasn't good for none of us kids, because we all got it. All of us. I was of course, I was a grandson, but he considered me a child, and there were 8, including me. So we all ended up getting the run of that. And what makes it really twisted in my mind was the fact that he was an evangelist also. He would go out and he'd preach to folks up under the bridge. He could quote the Bible like you wouldn't believe. And talk about God a whole lot. Talked about, well, I'll just say this. They say that the predominant male in your life is where you get your idea of who God is, and your relationship with God reflects for a lot, to a great extent, your relationship with God is a reflection of the relationship with that predominant male. And I didn't get anything but the wrath of God. That's all I got. I knew there was a God. I did. I believed that. I did believe there was a God for most of my life, but I didn't want nothing to do with the God that I knew about, because it wasn't nothing good that I seen. And so I got high the first time I was about 6 years old. A little kid, me and my brother, and used off and on from then on out, off and on. Started getting into heavy drugs and using much heavier when I was about 12, 13. Most of my aunts and uncles, who on my father's side, I considered they were like my brothers and sisters. You know, most of them used in some shape, form, or fashion, whether it be alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be. So I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of it, and I mean, that's the path that I took, and I took it hard. I went after it. That's one thing that you can't say about me, is that I come half-stepping a lot. It's all or none, and I can do the none thing, but I didn't, and I went straight on that way. So for a long time, I did all kinds of stuff. I ended up let's see. I got addicted to crack cocaine when I was about 18 years old by a family member. I used with him first, and that's heavy. That's heavy. Just looking back on it, that was the beginning of something that if there's anything in my life that I could take back, I'd take back that first time that I'd done that stuff. Because there was nothing but death and destruction afterwards, spiritually, mentally, and it wasn't a very good life at all. I ended up getting put in jail and prison 3 times, jail so many times you can't count it on your hands and feet. In my addiction, I was a thief. I stole stuff, all kinds of ways. I done what I thought I needed to do to get the drugs that I thought I needed to get, and I would lie to you. I was very deceptive, very deceitful. Man, oh man, it's wild when I look back on it now. I say, golly, I did do those things. I would lie to you just to